got trouble with snails in your garden at home, you can go buy some of this soil, and down at the aquarium they have a whole cliff of it, and it's called diatomaceous earth. You may know it as limestone, and these shells are made out of glass, and if you put this in the garden and the snails walk along it, what's going to happen?
Burn them.
Cuts them up. Glass, they get all cut up. So it's a more natural way of killing snails in your garden if you don't want them there than using chemicals. Okay.
Yeah, throw salt.
Could do salt, but salt will destroy the soil and the plants will die. Too much salt. Okay, the others are shells that are not made of glass, but calcium carbonate, which is like what these mussel shells are made out of. Okay, we'll talk about what those are made. So two different types. Okay, lastly and real quickly, the other group, when you think of zoo, what do you think of? Animals, zebras, right? So these are zooplankton. Plankton because they drift, they're not very strong swimmers, okay, and so they're in the water at all different levels, and during the day the phytoplankton will be near the surface more.
Because the other cool thing about bryozoans is that you have one single larval animal that settles to the bottom, attaches to the kelp, and grows into the whole colony. So do we know what it's called when an animal makes replicas of itself? One of the Star Wars movies was named that.
When they clone.
Yes, the
What?
clones, right.
Or replicated.
One of the things that we did when we collected plankton was we had two different sizes of nets. We had a coarse mesh net and we had a fine mesh net. Coarse net will filter out only the larger animals bigger than that mesh. So we have what we call a monoculture out of that net. I combined both the nets, but what you can see if you pass this around, you'll see that there are large enough animals to be seen swimming around in there. And because of the density or the dense color of the water, the green, there's a lot of algae in the water. You're going to find more of the animals closer to the surface of the water because the diatoms need to get photosynthesis. If it's a bright sunny day, those animals are going to, the plants and animals are going to descend a bit because they don't have any sunblock, so they've got to take care of their body somehow. So they are a little bit deeper in the water column rather than being right near the surface. Gonad structure, see they're orange eggs, okay? And in most sea creatures, the male is the one that starts the spawning first. And the reason for that is because the female spends a lot of energy making millions of eggs. And if she spawns and the male doesn't respawn, then she's lost all of that energy. So the male starts the spawning. This is true of mussels, urchins, clams, and things like that that do something we call broadcast breeding. So this animal is going to broadcast breed, and the triggers are usually temperature, although it may be salinity. So if they get into a lot of rainwater, they may release their gametes because they think, oh, bad times are coming, we got to release them now, so they'll have a chance to make it or whatever.
Once you break the shell, can they get it back?
If a shell is broken, they can get it back. If you look at this shell, you'll see there's something that burrowed a hole into the shell and it covered it. Okay, that's usually the mother of pearl. The shell is not a solid piece. The shell is actually layers of calcium carbonate in between protein, and you can see that in abalone shells real easily. And that's what gives the abalone shell its strength, is those layers of calcium carbonate with protein, so it's a little bit flexible, but it can really take the brunt of surf.
So these are in the same family as snails, right? Snails that you get in your garden, they're called gastropods, stomach, foot, and they will walk along on their foot. This one has a different foot that extends out.
So right now, we've got nutrients in the water, we've got sunlight, and so we've got a whole ecosystem, a food web that's continually recharging itself with the diatoms and the copepods, and then they get eaten by something else. Now, if we had a high enough magnification microscope, we could look for a harmful algae called Pseudonychia, which is the one that creates the neurotoxin we were talking about.